All right. So in this session, we will talk about REST service. Okay. So service basically is a rule type when uh, we host a processing logic that can be called and utilized by other applications. So we create services for that just in APIs that other system can consume. Okay. We have several type of services. We have MQ, we have REST, we have SOAP. In this session, we are going to connect. We are going to basically talk about REST service. Before
No, Mahesh, you covered this, right? Already?
REST connector,
Rest.
we connect covered, not
Uh, oh,
connector
this
when we
is
will.
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So connector is when we call different system. Okay.
I think you integrated a service, right? Service integration. This is different actually. Whatever you're teaching, right?
Yes, it is different. Okay.
Okay.
Connector is something when someone else has hosted the service and we were consuming that using their API. Now we are going to host the API and other system will be able to consume our API. Okay. We are going to
Alright,
be the
so
service
vice
provider.
versa, actually.
Yes.
Okay, they are going
Yeah.
to access our data. Okay, fine,
Correct.
fine.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. So whenever you create any service in Pega, the basic you need is something called service package. You need to have a service package. This is where you define the protocol. This is where you define the authentication and security. And then you create a service. Every service has to be attached to a package. And then based on the service type, you have basically parsing logic. For the rest, we use JSON. This is not much of a problem. This is JSON to clipboard conversion and to backup is very okay. But when we will talk about or when we will learn about the SOAP service, you will understand parse XML and stream XML stream. Okay. Then every service calls an activity, and this is called service activity. This is the rule basically which actually does all the processing. It accepts the request and processes it and produces output. For our sample, we are going to ask the user. The users are going to hit, or any other system is going to hit our API, and they will send us case ID, and we will return customer detail and case status. This is what we are going to return. Okay, let's do that. So anyone will basically just pass call our API, which we will create. There will be a link created as well. So they will just pass this account, this case ID, right? And we will see which customer this ID will this case is processing to and what is the case status currently. That's what we will return to them. All right, so you have shortcut way. Basically you can create the integration from here. Service definition, rest and all that. Okay. You can see that service wizard is here. Hit that and you will be able to create a service. So, oh, sorry, this only supports these must. So that's okay. Leave it. We didn't want to create through wizard anyway. We'll see that for the soul. All right. So let's formulate our logic. Okay. Someone will give us case ID. Based on the case ID, we can open the case using an activity, right? Obj open, we have the case ID. Read, then when you open the case, you can directly read the py work status work. That's the property that holds the case status. And then you can read the CID. Based on the CID, you can query customer table, because we are not storing the customer information in the case. So query customer table, and you will get basically the response there. So query the customer table and get the customer data. All right. So first thing, let's create a package. We will create a package for our batch. So integration resource, you can create it from here to create new menu, integration resources and service package. We will create p3 pkg. That's the name of the service package. The stateless access group, we are just going to use our authors at the moment. No, we will not require authentication. Anyone can run it. I will enable it later and show you guys how to use it. Okay. So no authentication is needed for this service. Okay. Good. Package is created. At the moment, there is no service created here. So that's fine. Now let's create a per service. So for the service, integration service REST, I can create an integration class and put the service there. Okay. Ideally, that's how it should be. Request and response. We know what we need to return in the response. So let's do it very properly. Let's create a service class first. Okay. Um, I will create a new class. You could use directly the work lab, but that's not basically right place. So we will do it properly with creating a class. We will name it as service only. We will use all the services. We will create all the services here only. B3 int. Okay. Abstract is okay. We're not going to store any data. Okay. So in the request, we will need the case ID. Case ID is PYID, that should be available. So we do not have to create any request class, but response class has to be created. Okay, because response has mix of the data class as well as the work class. So I will create one more class within the service. Response and service response. All right. Now under the service, I'm going to create two properties. One, the request only has case ID. So I think we can already use the PYID there. It should be PYID is available in the base class. Yeah, it is available in the base class, so no property needs to be created, but a response has to be created. So data model property response. So in the service, it is page type of the response class, which is B3 int service response. In the response, we will have work status, which is application status. So I will create a property app status, and it will have customer detail. So customer detail is a page. So I will create a page property first, and this is a page, single page, and the definition is we already have that definition data, B3 data customer, right? So I have my response request and response structure now. So in the service, you see in the response, you have two data model, two properties, one app status, one the customer detail. This is how we will return the customer detail to the caller. Okay. Now this service name get app status package. We just created a package v3 package version. Actually, this is v01. Um, we can have app is let's build the URI. So we will have app status as literal. This has to be in the URL, and we need to get the case ID, which is not literal, it's a variable. Okay, so app status case ID, that's how the URL will be created. Okay, create and open. So right, this is the URL. See that they will have to call. The case ID is by default getting parsed. Remember, this is in the same class where we are going to put it. By default, it has taken the work class, but I'm going to update that to our integration class B3 int service, right? That's where it is going to be. So I can directly map it to a property. PYID I can use. So whatever they will send in the case ID, that will directly be mapped to the PYID. Okay. Method, we are going to start basically get method only, and that's where we will have to call the activity. Remember, this is, let's close this, let's close this, let's close this too. Okay, let's talk about the activity. Get app status. Okay, so this will do the processing. Now this activity is in the same class. It can, I mean, that property PYID already has it, the case ID. So it can open the case on the case page. Here you will have to specify the class of the case, which is work insurance plan. So obj open, it will open the page, it will open the case. We don't need to lock, we are not updating anything. We do not have to lock it. Then we will have to provide the step page here, case page, and the property is basically PYID is equal to the primary PYID from this integration class. Okay, this will open it, and then we will open the customer. I can directly open on the response. So obj open, I can set it on the response dot customer. Okay, so I will directly use this page to put the customer value. Okay, b3 data customer. All right, we also don't need to, and here CID, and that CID is actually available from the case page dot CID. We used that one. Now this value is automatically set in the customer. The only thing that I need to set is the status, app status property set. So on the response page dot app status, and this is available on the case, its case property, and py status work. This is, let's try to understand what we are doing here. We got basic, we got the case ID. We use the case ID to open the case instance on this page. Now when you open this case instance on this page, it will be this data, this entire work page data. We have CID here that we will use to open the customer record, and we have status work, right, that we need to return to the service caller. So we open the case, and then we use this case page CID to open the customer record and put it on this response customer directly. Response is what we are going to return to the caller. And then on the response, we set the app status from the work status. That's it. Okay. So in the response, we are going to send them the data. So we are going to map the data from the JSON, and the key is response. Let's save it. Now my service is ready. My service will accept the case ID in this format and return you the response. Let's run it to an external caller, API executioner. Alright, so I will have to just change the case ID, and let me provide this case ID. So it will return me the status new and customer detail of customer 2. Okay, sorry. Did not return it. 1 second. Case ID, we got it. In the response, sorry, it's not JSON. We did not convert it from the JSON. It's clipboard, right? We are not accepting this. So we are sending it from the clipboard directly. It will convert into JSON. Mhm. Okay. When we are sending this, there is something wrong with this one. Oh, this should be primary. Otherwise, it will take the context of primary means it will be this class. That's where the service mapping is happening, right? If you do not put the primary, it will take this property from the PYID, which is blank. Let's type in. Yeah. So we got the app status new and we got the customer detail, right? This is when it was updated. This is the PZNS key. I mean everything. This is operator ID who updated it. This is where is the customer ID? Okay, this is the CID. Okay, let me change it to JSON. So do an automatic mapping. Yeah. Title was null. Pega Aadhaar was not provided. DOB is this. Commit date time and everything is okay. Where is first name is null. Email ID is null, but that's not true for the customer too. Let's look at another case. This is also customer 2. 12002 app status resolved completed. But customer data is not coming in full. Let's see the customer record. Customer. Oh, customer 2 does not have much of the details somehow. It got wiped out. So we'll use customer 1 case, okay? Let me create a new case with customer 1. Actually, we did create a few today, so let's use from there. This is 19th. Didn't return anything. We did not proceed with this. Yeah, this one has all the data. So this is customer 1 actually. So it's name, see, last name, phone number, date of birth, title, first name. This is all coming up. So this is a very simple service where we got the request, and that request has the case ID. Based on the case ID, we got the case status and customer data and return that back to the customer. Remember, this is get. We can also have post and other stuff where we can ask the user to provide some value that we want to update on the case or insert somewhere. You can receive the value. Once you receive the value, it's on the activity, so you can pretty much do everything that you want from the activity. So this session, basically this demo will end here. It concludes here with a very simple REST service end to end for the get method. Thank you.